Chapter 1: The Paradoxical Arrival. Min's day was supposed to be mundane, debugging a stubborn piece of Python code for his final project and consuming an industrial amount of caffeine. Instead, it involved the sudden, violent erasure of all known reality. One moment, he was slumped in the perpetually chilly university lecture hall, Professor Albright droning on about mid-20th century economic models. He traced the faded wood grain of the desk with a pen, the smell of dust and stale coffee thick in the air. The next moment, nothing. Not darkness, not light, not air. Just a void that pressed on his consciousness like the weight of non-existence itself. For what seemed like a fraction of a second but felt like an eternity, Min was certain he had died. Then the void snapped. Sensory input assaulted him. Air hot and metallic, acrid with ozone and pulverized concrete. Sound, a wall of sirens, screams, and heavy-duty helicopters mixed with the guttural roar of tearing steel. Min slammed onto cold, slick marble, blinking through the haze. He wasn't in the lecture hall anymore. He was on a street corner, or what used to be one. The city around him was a masterpiece of destruction. Twisted steel skeletons clawed at a sky choked with brown smoke. Vehicles crumpled in a flame. Streets cracked and buckled. Directly in front of him, a taxi, mangled beyond recognition, burned with an insatiable orange flame. This wasn't a city street. This was a war zone. Panic gripped him. Total, blinding panic. And then Min saw him. A man in a rhinoceros-themed armored suit screaming, voice distorted to a metallic roar. "Come on, Bugs. You think you can stop the Rhino?" Min's stomach dropped. The Rhino. Not just any villain. A B-tier villain from the Amazing Spider-Man comics. The skyline looked familiar. One glass-walled titan in particular, Adventurer's Tower, confirmed it. He was in New York. The Marvel Universe's New York. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me," Min muttered, voice trembling. The ground shook. A green dumpster, knocked skyward by the Rhino, hurtled straight toward Min's head. Instinct surged. He didn't dive. He didn't run. He raised his hands, a futile shield against a 2-ton flying object. Wait, the dumpster stopped, mid-air, completely. Gravity, momentum, physics, they all ceased. Min stared at the rusted undercarriage, slowly lowering his hands, tingling with an energy that was unmistakably his. I did that. He stepped closer, testing it. The object remained solid, weightless, bound to his will. A slight push, and it slammed into the street. Concrete shards flew everywhere. Too much power. Red and blue webbing zipped past his head. Spider-Man perched on a buckled traffic light pole, pointing at him. "Hey, new guy. Fun little parlor trick, but maybe not the best time to be practicing street performance." The Rhino, enraged and now absorbing a repulsor blast from Iron Man, charged. Min closed his eyes and focused, recalling the strange tension he felt earlier, this time channeling it against the relentless march of the present. The world stopped. Rhino mid-charge. Smoke frozen. Dust mote suspended. Temporal stasis. Min walked up to the immobilized villain, grinning. The humor bubbled up through the fear. He slapped Rhino's metallic back with a flat clap in the frozen world. "Sorry, man. Not today." Spider-Man and Iron Man watched, stunned. Min was running a hyper-accelerated timeline relative to the universe. He needed a method to contain Rhino safely. He froze the villain's internal experience of time while restoring external time. Releasing the temporal lock, Rhino crashed into a van, stunned. Spider-Man landed beside Min. "Whoa, fast reflexes. Did you teleport?" "I was right here. Maybe you blinked." Iron Man landed, faceplate retracted, eyes calculating. "Holographic displacement? Lucky timing? Either way, get clear, kid. This isn't a flash mob." Min explained, voice steady but tinged with exhilaration. "I think I can help." Tony's skepticism melted into awe as Min manipulated the environment, reversing gravity for Rhino, locking him in a shimmering bubble, relocating freeway debris with thought alone. He was no longer just strong or fast. He had admin rights to reality itself. Spider-Man floated down, awestruck. "You just deleted millions of dollars of infrastructure? Where did it go?" Min rubbed his temples. "Safe airspace. High above. I guess you could call it a debug of the city." Tony Stark's voice was flat, measured but sharp. "Kid, you just demonstrated Omega-level powers. Who are you?" "I'm a college student. Python scripts and caffeine. Maybe I coded myself into a different dimension." Min tested his healing factor, slitting his forearm slightly. The cut vanished instantly. The power was intoxicating, terrifying, infinite. Tony sighed. "We need to know where this came from. who sent you, or if you're a threat. Min shrugged, humor returning. I'm independent. I just want a shower and maybe to fix that economics final. Suddenly, the tower's hum faltered. Lights flickered. Friday? Tony demanded. A laugh, cold and cruel, filled the room. Delightful ambition, little mortal, said Loki, stepping from an unseen dimension. He circled Min, cold malice in every movement. Min tried to react, but the reality around him stiffened. Loki pressed 2 fingers to Min's chest. Pain, not physical, but energetic. A burning line of code etched onto his soul. Consider this a tag, Loki whispered. A breadcrumb. The universe has a new favorite toy. He dissolved, leaving only a faint ozone scent. Friday detected a persistent Asgardian energy signature on Min's chest, a faint, coiling, green mark. Min stared, terror replacing humor. Tony's voice dropped to a low growl. Loki doesn't tag people for fun. What did he do to you? Min swallowed. I think I just inherited a cosmic enemy. Chapter 2. The Debugger in the Field. Part 1. The Unstable Training Ground. The chaotic fallout from Loki's sudden appearance had transformed Min's security consultation into an urgent containment scenario. Tony Stark's initial skepticism had morphed into grim acknowledgement. The god of mischief had validated Min as a person of interest, the most dangerous type imaginable. He called you a world crosser and a magnificent anomaly, Tony said, pacing across the reinforced floor of the Avengers Tower sublevel training facility. He wore a sleek black t-shirt and sweats, the exhaustion etched around his eyes betraying sleepless nights since Min's arrival. Then he slapped a magical GPS tracker on you. Congratulations, kid. You went from overdue library book to the universe's most wanted artifact. Min stood at the center of a massive gymnasium, its holographic emitters and dampening fields shimmering faintly to absorb anything from gamma bursts to concentrated repulsor fire. He clutched a Stark pad displaying a complex, fluctuating energy readout tracking the Asgardian runic mark Loki had etched onto his chest. The good news? The tag isn't ticking, Min said, tapping the screen. The bad news? Every time I try to flex, even subtly, the resonance spikes. Loki's signature is acting like a cosmic tuning fork for my energy output. It's not tuning, it's siphoning, Tony corrected, staring at a massive holographic projection mapping Min's brain activity against known temporal anomaly patterns. Loki knows your power isn't biometabolic, it's authority. You don't have super strength, you command matter itself. He wants to know how, and he wants to break it. The energy drain is part of that. Requirement 1. Min begins training and learning to control his powers under the indirect guidance of the Avengers. Training was less about brute conditioning than catastrophic failure avoidance. The goal, control powers without warping Manhattan. Spider-Man, back from securing the captured Rhino, perched upside down on a ceiling girder, narrating with casual humor. All right, World Crosser, Peter said. Tony says no more accidental temporal black holes. Let's start simple. See that drone? Mini disco ball 30 feet away? Min nodded. Got it. Use your spatial anchoring, the dumpster trick. Hold it perfectly still for 5 seconds. Go. He shut his eyes, filtering sensory noise, focusing on the drone's precise spatial coordinates. He imagined an infinitely dense net snapping around it. Anchor. The drone froze perfectly. Success. But simultaneously, the laser grid beneath warped inward, creating a 4-foot vacuum. The humph echoed violently. Whoa, 0 for stealth, 10 for structural failure, Peter yelled. Tony slammed a hand on the panel. Min, you just created a space bubble that could implode a bus. Focus. That's way too much compression. Frustrated, Min rubbed his temples. It's like using a global variable for a local function. I want to fix the drone, but it deletes air pressure. Tony's expression softened. Refine your language. Think of the universe as messy code, your root. Stop using pseudo-rm-rf/error when you only need to delete one JPEG, Min grinned. So local variables, precise scope, cosmic assembly language, got it. He tried again, isolating the drone's metallic components. Subtle click in his mind. Drone perfectly still. 5 seconds, success. Now, Tony challenged, do that while reversing this racquetball's path. Min anchored the drone with left brain, reversed the ball's path with right brain. It flew backward into Tony's hand. Parallel processing on localized chronal and spatial physics. Impressive, Tony admitted. Stick to precision over power. Loki's tag drains energy with big commands. Part 2. AIM's chaotic deployment. 2 days of physics failure and temporal displacement produced non-lethal to civilians control. But peace was brief. Sir, heavy vehicular movement and unconventional weapon signatures around Times Square, Friday reported. Visual confirms AIM, led by high scientist Monica Rappaccini. They're mounting a large, shielded cylindrical device. Tony's armor retracted slightly as he scanned the data. AIM, again, Friday deployment parameters. 5-block cordon in Midtown. Primary device appears as an energy stabilizer or trans-dimensional focusing array. Min exchanged a glance with Peter. That sounds like it could sync with a cosmic tuning fork. Exactly, Tony agreed. This isn't annoyance. It's coordinated, Mark. Loki's trap. You're the bait. Spider-Man swung down. Well, AIM has terrible uniforms. Yellow hazard suits? At least we can see them. Ready for a field trip, World Crosser? Min adjusted his earpiece. Ready. Just hope I don't send us to 18th century France. I didn't bring powdered wigs. Requirement 2. A new threat emerges. A Hydra attack or similar villainous organization invading New York. The team up in Times Square. Times Square was a nightmare and a spectacle. Tourists were forced back by yellow and black armored vehicles and scientists in hazard suits. Holographic ads clashed with laser fire and concussive blasts. Iron Man arrived first, scattering AIM perimeter with repulsor blasts. Avengers assemble, Tony barked. Spidey, civilian containment. Min, structural stabilization. Keep their weird science off the central device. Spider-Man webbed vehicles rescuing civilians. Try not to melt M&M signage. They get grumpy. Min darted toward chaos, subtly bending space around his motion. Instead of stopping time, he created localized temporal perception loops for 4 AIM soldiers. They repeated 2-second actions endlessly, mid-bolt activation. Hope you like deja vu, Min muttered. Tony demanded a status. 4 soldiers neutralized via 2-second GIFs, moving to central device. Peter cheered. A GIF? Love this kid. Strategic chaos. Min reached the central zone, a ballet of beams, web fluid, and yellow hazard suits. The cylindrical AIM device glowed, shielded. 7 soldiers advanced on Iron Man with sonic disruptors. Min twisted space in their gun barrels 180 degrees, refracting sonic waves back into the weapons. 7 muffled implosions. Try turning it off and back on again, Min called. A second armored unit approached. Min compressed the space behind their shield generators, nullifying shields. Spider-Man webbed the lead scientist. Negative dimension shields, Peter exclaimed. Tony, checking the central device. Dimensional resonance conduit. They're locking onto your runic signature. Min raced, healing a bullet strike instantaneously. Black Widow joined, precise and efficient. Device primed, too late for demolition. Destabilize the vector. Min touched the conduit, corrupting spatial coordinates with paradoxes and impossible numbers. The device shrieked, flickering violently. The conduit is overloading, Friday announced. Requirement 3 and 4. Min demonstrates creative, humorous abilities and works alongside Avengers in combat. Part 3. The puppeteer miles away, Loki observed through a scrying pool. He watched Min's reckless genius, warping space and feeding paradoxes in the conduit. Delightful, untamed power, Loki murmured. He is the perfect flaw in the world tree. Every decree requires consensus. He tires quickly. The glowing mark on Min's chest flashed. Loki smiled. The Avengers are clumsy. He is charging my battery. Time to retrieve him with an absolute threat, forcing a command that kills or delivers him to me. Requirement 5. Loki observes Min, planning to exploit his powers. The absolute threat. Times Square was cleared of AIM. Spider-Man swung past, praising Min. Tony, we're taking him to a secure off-world location, Moon Facility. A deep, resonant hum shattered the quiet. Min's runic mark pulsed green. Agonizingly, a shadowy figure, the nullifier, landed. Jet black armor absorbing light. Not AIM, Natasha alarmed. Friday, Asgardian demon fused with dark elvish matter, conceptual nullifier. Buildings decayed into fine powder. Min realized, it's erasing causality. If it touches me, my existence vanishes. Repulsors, webbing, negated. Min faced an absolute threat. He pushed every ounce of logic Python and differential equations using the ultimate global command. Goal, execute massive temporal and dimensional discontinuity, realigning to a safe coordinate in an adjacent timeline. A deafening temporal crack fractured the air. The energy drain from Loki's tag peaked. Min accelerated through infinite corridors of time. Requirement 6. Ending, surprise twist forces Min to escape, leading into Chapter 3. The temporal eject men slammed onto cold, wet stone, air dense, earthy, musk and iron. The Loki mark faded to a faint tingle. He looked through narrow barred windows at impossible architecture, towers connected by a rainbow bridge of pure light. Oh, come on, Min groaned. Safe timeline? Did I just jump? Asgard? A metallic door hissed open. A towering armored guard appeared, sword glowing. Who are you, mortal? And where did you procure that runic mark? Min muttered, sliver of humor returning. I might need a bigger debugging script for this. Chapter 3. The Logic Bomb Part 1. Jailbreak in the Golden Realm. Min stared at the towering armored figure, the Asgardian guard, who had just stepped into the dimly lit rock-hewn corridor of the Bifrost prison. The guard was a mountain of muscle and gleaming metal, wielding a massive glowing sword that hummed with restrained cosmic energy. Bifrost prison? Min muttered, quickly cataloging his predicament. Location, Asgard. Enemy, one heavily armed, possibly immortal warrior. Immediate goal, escape. Failure consequence, permanent incarceration in a mythological jail, probably an awkward reunion with Loki. Answer me, mortal, the guard boomed, stepping forward. The sword's light intensified, bathing Min in harsh gold. Min forced himself upright, pushing nausea and exhaustion aside from his uncontrolled temporal jump. The Loki mark on his chest throbbed faintly, a cold, constant reminder of the price of his power. Look, buddy, I apologize for the unexpected check-in, Min said, attempting calm diplomacy. I'm experiencing a severe timeline bug. I aim for 21st century New York. This, statistically speaking, is not it. The guard raised his sword. Blasphemy! You speak in riddles and bear the trickster's mark. Surrender for immediate interrogation. Interrogation? Nah, man, I have a life to get back to, Min replied, trying to maintain rationality. Brute force was useless. This was Asgardian muscle and magic. Min had to rely on precision, not raw strength. The command: absolute isolation. Min focused his will on the guard, not to move him, but to isolate the layer of air molecules immediately around his body. With a sharp mental snip, he severed that layer from ambient friction and force. The guard's massive foot mid-step slid uncontrollably. The polished stone floor offered no resistance, and the guard tumbled sideways, crashing into the stone wall with a deafening clang. The sword skidded away, useless. Min didn't wait. That single perfect command drained him. He needed out. He fixed on a small high window, channeling memory to the place he truly belonged. The cold floor of Avengers Tower. He didn't cross dimensions. He corrected his address within the same cosmic postal system. He executed the jump with a filter. Energy output must not exceed the previous threshold. Chronal acceleration disengaged. Only spatial discontinuity engaged. The Bifrost prison chamber vanished with a surgical pop. Part 2. The Ghost in the System. Min reappeared, not in Avengers Tower, but 3 blocks away, in a dim alley behind a row of bodegas. He slid down a brick wall, gasping, muscles screaming in protest. He checked his phone, still no service, but the neon glow of a deli sign confirmed it. New York. Friday, Min's signature detected. Minor temporal distortion. Location, Hell's Kitchen, corner of 47th and 9th. Tony's voice crackled in his earpiece. Report, World Crosser. Exit vector, contamination, anything brought back? Exit vector, desperate, uncontrolled panic. No contamination, unless existential crises count. And no Asgardian guards, though I briefly invented frictionless armor, Min wheezed. Humor confirmed, sanity green. Stay put. Loki knew you'd return. He wanted you out of protective custody. The city is now a potential stage, Tony said. Min stepped onto the street, hoodie up. The air smelled of street food, thick with humidity. Everything seemed normal, an ominous sign in the Marvel universe. I'm moving to the rendezvous point now. If Loki wants games, I'll at least fight from a good position, Min said. Don't move, that's an order, Tony shouted. Too late. One step and the world tilted. Sidewalks stretched into endless vistas, melting glass-like. Buildings twisted, vertical lines became impossible parabolas. The sky morphed into neon pink and sickly orange streaks. Ground beneath became complex, non-Euclidean geometry. Min wasn't hallucinating light. He was fighting warped reality. What the? Loki, Tony's voice strained. High-level Asgardian illusion magic. It's affecting your perception, feeding your reliance on stable reality. Use your powers now and you'll tear the street apart. Laughter echoed from the distorted skyscrapers. Welcome home, little world crosser, Loki's voice echoed telepathically. Did you enjoy my father's domain? Now the lessons begin. To win, you must understand which reality to rewrite. Choose poorly, and the damage is yours. Requirement 1. Loki targets Min directly with traps, illusions, and manipulation. The reality debugger. Min closed his eyes. His mind screamed against the conceptual corruption. He remembered Tony's advice. Treat the universe as a messy, daft, poorly documented operating system. If this is documented, then reality is a corrupted texture pack. Core code must still be stable. He channeled power into perception, not the environment. Microtemporal command. Execute self-perception at 1.001x normal time dilation. He glimpsed the seams of Loki's magic. The pink sky shimmered, the normal gray peeked through. Twisting buildings snapped momentarily to form. Tony, I see it! It's a perceptual overlay. I can see the source code. He spotted Loki, half hidden behind illusory stacked cars, green shimmer surrounding him. Impressive, World Crosser, but can you patch the physical? Suddenly, the ground accelerated. Pavement aged from smooth to dust in seconds, forming a chasm beneath him. Physical time decay, Tony yelled. Trap in an anti-time bubble. No time to jump. Command spatial recursion. Men folded the disintegrating concrete inward, thus quarantining it in a self-referential closed-loop volume. Stable surface beneath his boots. Pain from the Loki tag spiked. I hate infinite loops, Men gasped, moving forward. Requirement 2. Men must combine intelligence and overwhelming power to avoid Loki's schemes. The web and the debugger. Spider-Man swung down. Need a lift, Code Monkey? Spider-Man, thank the stars, Men exclaimed. Tony sent me. Hide and seek with the god of illusion, right? Loki's right there. Men pointed. I need a clear shot to hit him with a spatial dampener, but can't risk destabilizing ground level. Loki smiled, raising hands. Hundreds of duplicate Lokis appeared. So many choices. Which is real? Peter sighed. Great. Copy-paste villain. Overdressed mime convention. No, wait. Men focused on temporal stability, not visuals. The real one has a stable energy signature. Only its shadow aligns with the sun's position. The horde shimmered. One figure's shadow differed slightly. Peter, bust Loki, hit him! You got it, Nerdvenger! Spider-Man spun Men toward the target. Men jumped onto the bus rooftop as webbing encased Loki. Loki dissolved into sticky tar-like substance, an illusory physical bomb. Men activated healing factor, bracing for impact. This wasn't Loki, Men yelled. Transubstantiated matter illusion. Spider-Man landed beside him. Oh, I hate pretentious mimes. Requirement 3. Dynamic action sequences with Men and Spider-Man, humor and teamwork. True Loki appeared on a distant skyscraper, throwing a green ethereal anchor. Reality became fixed in its twisted state. World Crosser, one of my realities. Fix globally. Half Manhattan collapses. Fix locally. Security system catches you. Six-limbed metal golems crackling with dark magic emerged. New plan, Men yelled. Can't fix reality. Fight on his rules. Physics-defying part you, punchy part me. Peter shouted, webbing golems. Command, microtemporal lag. Men sped a golem by a fraction of a millisecond. Sonic boom shattered its shell. He changed density of incoming debris. It became leaden, crashed harmlessly. Thanks. Mid-battle density calculation, Peter quipped. The anchor pulsed malevolent magic. This isn't physics. This is code injection, Men whispered. Command, corrupt data stream. He introduced paradoxical logic, variables negating themselves, zeros equal to 1. Anchor shrieked. Green light flickered violently, then crack. Conceptual error. Anchor destroyed. The impossible city evaporated. Skyscraper straightened. Tar dissolved. Golems vanished. Reality stabilized. Men collapsed, drained. Loki tag pulsed, siphoning a final surge before fading to dull ache. Part 4, The Weight of Authority. Tony landed, faceplate retracting. You won. Beat Loki using logic and paradox, but look around. Men surveyed localized damage, folded streets, crushed water mains, shattered windows. I saved the city, didn't I? You saved it from Loki's collapse, but you tore up blocks. Sonic deceleration shattered windows. Density increase destroyed a water main. You're a nuclear warhead with a manual in a foreign language, Tony said. Requirement 4. Men realize his power is not just strength. Control is crucial. Men felt victory sour. Each command risked catastrophic side effects. If Loki pushed him, he could destroy the world by accident. I can't do this, Tony. Margin for error is 0, Men whispered. Spider-Man, unusually serious, said, look, everyone makes mistakes. Difference is choice. Loki forced choices. You fixed the world, didn't erase it. You fought smart. Requirement 5, emotional depth. Min contemplates responsibility and consequences. Min looked at Peter and Tony, tired, determined eyes. So what do I do? Min asked. I can't leave. Loki hunts me. I can't stay. I'm a liability. Train, learn precision, edit an atom without disturbing others. Until then, secure vault. Black Widow, residual runic matrix shows Loki didn't lose. He knows your counter frequency. Exactly, Min said. He adapts. I debug. He debugs me. Weight of responsibility settled. He was a nexus, a target. Part 5, the critical dilemma. Comms blasted static. Loki's voice shimmered, terrifyingly real. Ah, family reunion, touching. Lecture over. Lesson. Value of attachment. Illusion of Peter Parker appeared, suspended in a glowing green cocoon. Loki, piece of your friend, a molecular sample, anchored to chronal singularity. Release and he'll revert to pre-existence. Only way to know. World crosser. You execute one command. Reverse original arrival. Tony aimed repulsors. Useless. Choose, Min. Life or web-slinger's existence. Loki tagged pulsed, insistent. Min stared at trapped illusion, then at real Peter. The perfect trap, self-annihilation or erasure of an ally. Chapter 4, the paradoxical solution. Part 1, the unwritten command. Min stared at the shimmering, malevolent green cocoon enclosing the illusion of Spider-Man. The real Peter Parker stood frozen beside him, his breath shallow, eyes wide with the realization that his entire existence hung on the whims of a trickster god and a frightened college student. Choose, World Crosser. Your life or the web-slinger's existence. Loki's illusory face repeated, voice echoing with predatory glee. The runic tag on Min's chest burned, urging him to execute the enormous, timeline-shattering command Loki demanded. Don't do it, Min, Tony yelled, his repulsors locked yet useless against the projection. That command, reversing your arrival, won't just erase you. It'll trigger a temporal backlash. Loki wants that backlash. It's the key. Min's mind raced. Loki wasn't interested in simple erasure. He wanted Min to wield his most dangerous Sith global command. That single line of code would grant Loki precise control over the source of Min's power, the fracture in reality allowing him to cross worlds. But Peter, erasing the friendly, goofy kid who had risked his life to help, deleting his history as casually as a file, was unbearable. You're a trickster, Loki, Min said, voice steady despite the roaring agony of the tag. He forced his mind to slow and accelerate simultaneously, stretching seconds into minutes of pure thought. You deal in paradoxes, not absolutes, Loki sneered. A nice theory, mortal, but this anchor is absolute. I hold a molecular slice of his history. The command is simple. Execute self-reversion. The truth struck Min. Loki had provided the command, but not the syntax. The illusion was bound to a specific temporal action, Min's self-reversion. Loki's weakness. He assumed the command must target the self. Min focused, channeling a wave of energy, not into reversing his own timeline, but into the structure of Loki's command itself. The command, temporal redirect. Divert the execution target of Loki's self-reversion anchor. Retarget the command to the source of the anchor, the illusory Loki. He didn't execute the global command. He reassigned the variable. The wave of power Min released was immense, a flash of pure white light overpowering Loki's green aura. Loki's illusory face contorted in terror. No! What have you done? That is not the command! The green cocoon holding Peter vanished. Simultaneously, Loki's own projection flickered violently, beginning to de-exist. The shimmering gold and green of his image ran backward, collapsing into the moment before the illusion was cast. The mocking voice devolved into incoherent whispers, then silence. Loki's real voice screamed over comms one last time. You defy causality! You are a mistake! I will tear the world open to find your source. The green light on Min's chest pulsed once, then went completely dark. The parasitic tag was inert. Peter collapsed beside Min, mask off, pale and sweating. What happened? I feel like I forgot my own name for a second. Min, equally exhausted, smiled weakly. I told Loki to erase himself from the moment he cast the illusion. He anchored it to an action, and I redirected the action to its source. He got caught in his own fallacy. That, Tony said, landing with urgency, was the most brilliant and terrifying display of reality bending I've ever seen. You didn't just win, Min, you debugged a god. Part 2, the assault strategy. Relief was fleeting. Loki was gone, but the threat had only retreated. The deactivated tag was temporary, a reprieve, not a victory. In the deepest sublevel of Avengers Tower, the mood was grim. Captain America, Thor, and Black Widow joined the briefing, lending weight to the situation. Loki's strategy is clear, Natasha stated, pointing to a holographic map highlighting Manhattan energy spikes. He uses Min's presence as a battering ram. Every power use generates data for him. The last trap forced total compliance or extinction. He failed, but gathered data to adapt, Tony added. The final runic signature shows a massive dimensional conduit, not for an army, but to extract Min to a location where his power can be controlled. Thor nodded gravely. Loki would never risk exposure without a prize. He operates from a secure nexus. We must locate and close it. Requirement 1. Min leads the Avengers in assaulting Loki's base. Min is the signal, Captain America said. His presence generates the temporal noise hiding Loki's base. You lead the team. Min looked at the legends before him, responsibility heavier than any collapsing freeway. The humor left, replaced by sharp focus. I won't make mistakes, Min stated. Loki uses illusion to hide. I'll use precision to expose. Tony, I need 2 things, confirmation of the base type and mitigation for my destructive output. Friday located the Nexus, an abandoned subway terminal in the financial district, Tony said. Interlocking dimensional fields, powered by dark elvish runes, a labyrinth. The Nexus generates the noise. And mitigation? Min asked. Tony grinned. The World Crosser harness, kinetic and temporal dampener, contains excess energy, lets you use precision commands without tearing space-time. Clad in the sleek black harness under his hoodie, Min felt his power surging, contained for the first time. The plan. Point A. Thor, use Mjolnir to destabilize the Nexus perimeter. Point B. Captain America and Black Widow, contain magical overflow. Point C. Iron Man and Spider-Man, combat support and extraction. Point D. Enter the Nexus. Use temporal loops and spatial compression to reach the core. Part 3. The Infinite Labyrinth. The subway terminal was a suffocating descent. Thor's controlled lightning strike above the Nexus triggered a brilliant green energy field deep below. Men, flanked by Iron Man and Spider-Man, dropped into the labyrinth. The air was thick, tunnels constantly shifted, walls appeared or vanished, floors opened to infinite abyss. Loki's magic layered over reality itself. Rule 1 of fighting Loki, everything is a lie, Spider-Man quipped, webbing a wall to prevent it crushing Iron Man. Rule 2, Loki always has an audience, Tony added. No, Rule 2 is mine, Min said. Facing the abyss, he executed a causality check. The abyss was revealed, a painted wall with a telepathic projection. Min grinned. It's a conceptual trap. Only the mind falls. He walked through, stepping onto solid concrete. Whoa, Peter breathed. That's cheating. How did you know? Illusions require constant input. Physical reality doesn't. Loki gave the illusion too much conceptual depth. Requirement 2. Include intense action sequences with men combining overwhelming power, strategy, and teamwork. They reached a central chamber. A dozen identical Lokis awaited, green blades in hand. Welcome, heroes. Choose your champion. Or death, they chorused. Requirement 3. Men faces traps, illusions, and multidimensional Lokis. Clones, illusions, or fragments. Tony scanned. Doesn't matter, Min said, channeling power through the harness. Command, temporal desynchronization. Men staggered their existence across infinitesimally separated moments. The Lokis staggered, movements jerky, fragmented. They're temporal duplicates, Tony realized. Real, but sharing the same brief chronal stability. Exactly. If they can't coordinate, they're just action figures, Min said. Charging, he ordered Tony and Peter to exploit the lag. Men rushed past toward the pulsing altar, the core generator. The original Loki emerged, twin-bladed staff in hand. You've learned the tricks well, Loki sneered. Now face the master. Lunging, he aimed at Min. Command, mass redistribution. Min shifted the staff's mass, back half neutron star heavy, front near zero. The staff spun violently out of Loki's grasp, tearing his shoulder. Min stood over him, harness humming. It's not parlor tricks, Loki. It's root access. I revoked your privileges. Part 4, the final choice. Loki erupted in a green blast, then vanished, leaving a single ornate amulet. He retreated, Tony said. Tactical withdrawal. He can't sustain the base. Men approached the altar. Destroying it risked catastrophic backlash. Requirement 4, emotional development. Men reflects on responsibility, teamwork, consequences of his power. He closed his eyes. Precision over power. Not breaking physics, enforcing it. Command, system integrity check and re-anchor. He stabilized the dimensional hinge, forcing it to conform to prime timeline physics. The green glow faded. A steady white hum remained. Done, Min whispered, exhausted. The nexus is stable, closed. Loki can't use this door anymore. Tony clapped his shoulder. You chose the hard way, kid. Precision over power. You saved the city. You're an Avenger now. Peter grinned. Now you just need a code name. Temporal Ted? No, Min smiled weakly. Just Min, the guy who knows where the bugs are. Part 5, The Foreshadowing of the Void. Tony noticed the green amulet. Friday, scan it. Level 10, he commanded. Scanning, sir. Residual dimensional anchor. Unusual energy signature. Non-local, non-linear, massive. Seems to originate from a future point. Absolute chronological defeat. A fleeting, desolate cosmic void appeared in the projection. Debris of planets and stars. At its center, a shadowed figure in golden armor, wielding a gauntlet with multicolored stones. The mantra on the amulet repeats, all roads lead to the Mad Titan, Friday said. Min felt cold dread. Defeating Loki was only the lobby of the cosmic theater. Loki's escape and foresight were warnings. He had crossed worlds, now on the front line of the universe's final exam. I think our problems just got way bigger than a passing grade in economics, Min said to Tony. Chapter 5, The Grand Unified Theory Part 1, The Looming Shadow. The atmosphere in the primary briefing room of Avengers Tower was suffocatingly tense. The holographic image of the massive, golden-armored figure, the Mad Titan, hovered above the central table, a visual prophecy of looming doom that seemed to pulse with quiet malice. Tony Stark, stripped of his armor but wearing the weight of cosmic responsibility like a second skin, ran a hand across the image. We got lucky. Loki didn't want to face this guy. That final message, all roads lead to the Mad Titan, wasn't a taunt. It was a panic signal. Loki was testing Min to gain the power necessary to escape this timeline before Thanos arrived, or maybe deliver a weapon capable of stopping him. Min, now fully accustomed to the sleek black world-crosser harness beneath his hoodie, leaned against the table. Exhaustion weighed on him physically, but his mind was razor-sharp. He wasn't trying to break reality. He was optimizing his exit strategy. He knew if he exploited the core fracture that brought me here, he could jump out of this universe entirely. Captain America's gaze was unwavering. Loki is desperate. Cornered, he's most dangerous. Thor, can you track his signature? He shields his magic, but fear is a beacon, Thor boomed, Mjolnir resting heavily by his side. My brother attempts a final nexus, a true dimensional gateway, not a shielded base. He seeks to flee Midgard through a chaotic warp, a doorway even the Mad Titan cannot follow. Black Widow pulled up a tactical display. Friday detects a massive intermittent energy spike over the East River, near the Brooklyn Navy Yard. High temporal distortion, unstable warp field. Loki is opening his escape hatch. That's where we go, Min stated, pushing off the table. No longer a college student in a video game. He was the anomaly, the only person capable of correcting the structural flaws of reality Loki was about to unleash. The strategy, containment, not destruction. We learned our lesson, Tony said, sealing his helmet. We don't destroy the door, we stabilize it and lock him inside. Thor, Hulk, hit the perimeter, keep the field contained. Cap, Widow, you secure the extraction points. Min, Spider-Man, you're the entry team. Go for the core anchor. Stop him from escaping or weaponizing the portal. Spider-Man, perched on the ceiling, swung down on a web line. So I'm the distracting red and blue blur, and Min is the guy who does the existential math. Got it. Try not to erase my favorite pizza place this time, Code Man. Min offered a tired, genuine smile. Only editing the source code today, Peter. No global deletions. Part 2, The Portal, Over the River. The scene over the East River was chaos incarnate. A sickly, swirling vortex of green and purple energy pulsed above the water, its chaotic temporal field causing the surrounding air to shimmer, the lights of Brooklyn and Manhattan bridges flickering rapidly. The sound was a perpetual, deafening rum, like the death rattle of 1,000 dying engines, the air crackling with raw, unstable energy. Loki, standing on a floating emerald green dais at the Nexus Center, poured every ounce of magic into the vortex. Thor and the Hulk were already engaged. Lightning hammered the dimensional field as Thor localized chaos, while Hulk leaped from bridge support to bridge support, roaring defiantly, ready to engage any minions Loki might summon. Min, Iron Man, and Spider-Man approached via airborne transport, dropping into the exclusion zone. The field is highly unstable, Tony warned, hovering beside Min. Loki's throwing chronal energy at this thing. If he succeeds, this portal will suck in everything in a 5-mile radius. Time, space, matter, and scatter it randomly across the multiverse. He's desperate, Min confirmed, feeling the immense fluctuating temporal pressure. Pure chaotic energy. No precision. That's our leverage. Spider-Man shot a web line at a floating piece of river debris. I'll draw the eye. You draw the lines. Loki's triumphant, hysterical laugh cut through the air. The little mouse returns to the trap. You cannot stop this, world crosser. This is not a parlor trick. It is an exit. And if I leave this realm, I shall take your city's history with me. Tendrils of green energy, laced with silver temporal signatures, snaked toward the city below. The chronal cascade. The temporal tendrils struck the nearest buildings. Concrete dissolved briefly, replaced by flashes of its own past. 1920s brick factories, empty marshland, before snapping back, brittle and fractured. Loki was attacking the city's history itself. He's causing localized temporal fractures. Iron Man yelled. Men, stabilize the anchors. Men flew forward, propelled by his harness toward the pulsing dice. Surgical precision was key. A global reset would require erasing Loki, too dangerous an output. He intercepted a temporal tendril aimed at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. The command, temporal dampening and redirection. Men placed his hands on the swirling energy, halting its chronological momentum and redirecting it into the East River. The river reacted violently. Colonial ferries, Native American canoes, modern submarines flashed into existence in the same physical space for a split second before stabilizing harmlessly. Buying time, Tony yelled, blasting a rock golem Loki summoned. But we need the anchor now. Spider-Man reached the dice, distracting Loki with dizzying webbing. Hey, Green Goblin Jr., missed your family barbecue? Loki fired a concussive bolt. Peter dodged, slammed into the dice, unconscious, clinging precariously. Seeing Peter fall, Min's protective fury ignited. He charged the dice, kinetic boost of the harness amplifying his strength. I'm not using brute force, Min growled, slamming his fist. The command, absolute spatial lock. Loki's center of mass. Loki froze, immovable, every muscle locked against the planet's gravitational center. You've stopped me, Loki hissed. But you cannot stop the Nexus. It is self-sustaining. Part 3, the Grand Unified Theory. Min turned to the vortex. The only way to win, complete the job Loki started with absolute control. Men, get out of there! The Nexus feeds on your power, Tony screamed. Min closed his eyes, channeling every line of code, every equation. Power wasn't the answer. Structure was. The command, global variable reset and temporal refinement. He commanded the vortex to stop its chaos, lock onto a stable constant, enforce a new law. All dimensional leakage forbidden, all chronological vectors linear. The chaotic green and purple dissolved into blinding white. W-Run became a steady hum. The Nexus stabilized, contained, locked to the prime timeline. Exhaustion hit, his rapid healing factor engaged. Consciousness flickered. Tony swooped in, catching him before he fell. The captured men awoke on the dice. The Nexus was gone. The East River appeared normal. Loki, now powerless, was restrained in an Asgardian steel containment harness. You wasted absolute power on order. A fool, World Crosser. Loki spat. No, look, I chose precision. You deal in chaos, I deal in structure. Your chaos almost erased a friend and destroyed a city. Your exploits are patched. Tony placed a hand on Min's shoulder. He lost to a better code writer. Spider-Man, rubbing his neck, swung down. Top-tier temporal dampening. Also, my web fluid formula, stronger. Thanks, man. I optimized the carbon bonds while stabilizing the Nexus. Happy to help, Spidey, Min replied, smiling tiredly. Captain America and Black Widow secured Loki. The threat is contained, Cap announced. You saved the city the timeline, Min. Absolute control. You earned your place. Min looked at the Avengers, Tony, Peter, Cap, Thor, and realized he was no longer just Min, the college student. He was the world crosser, the debugger of the cosmos. Part 4. The open cosmos. Weeks later, the dust settled. Loki was in Asgardian custody, the subway terminal restored, damaged buildings repaired. Min, under Avengers protection, lived in a private shielded wing of Avengers Tower. In the laboratory, simulations ran for interdimensional stability, not economics projects. Tony's voice echoed over the speaker. Min, check the power coupling schematic for the Mark 85 armor. Repulsive energy output could triple if we stabilize the local quantum field. Min laughed. Sure, Tony. Don't forget the Heisenberg compensation variable. He looked out over New York City, a stable, beautiful reality he fought to protect. He faced a god and won, not with brute strength, but understanding. Understanding. A terminal displayed Loki's amulet, the mad titan, Thanos, in the ruined void. That guy is still out there. Loki was running. If Thanos is that strong, my physics tricks may not be enough. Peter appeared on the window ledge, mask pulled up. Long day, Min? Just thinking about the next bug fix, Min smiled. Thanos, whole new operating system. Well, you've got a team now, Peter said. Cosmic tyrants are easier than three-term economics models, right? Min looked at the city, then his hands, feeling the faintest universal authority. Yeah, he admitted. A better story. Now to figure out how to write the ending. He focused on the distant, glittering stars, the infinite Marvel universe, and felt a surge of purpose. College days were over. Adventure had just begun.